Okay, so a very warm welcome to you all. Just want to let you know that from my understanding, the session is being recorded today and it's being made available for any other kind of people across the national network of parent carer forums and who can't be here so they can check it back out again. We're always in choice. So if you prefer not to be being recorded, then absolutely you could turn your camera off. And you're very welcome to do that. So if that's helpful, you can do that. You might want to leave it on and then turn it off if you speak, and that's okay too. So just to let you know that the session's being recorded for anyone that can't make it so they can see it back at a later date. So let's jump in. So before I start, I just want to extend my kind of gratitude to the work I'm sharing with you today. It's very much inspired by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg and the Center of Nonviolent Communication. So big kind of thanks and gratitude to my NVC teachers, my mentors, my practice group, the people I connect with, and we learn together this work that I'm going to share with you today. If you're a note taker, just let you know, take notes, no worries. If you would like some clarity, then I will be sharing the slides with you afterwards. So if that helps, just let you know they will be available afterwards. So today's session is about communicating with compassion. So I want us to think about really just kind of arriving and what our kind of intentions are and a little bit of a grounding exercise to start off with. So the story I'm making up is everyone's really, really busy. And you've invested your time to be here today because maybe you're curious and you're kind of wondering, oh, communicating with compassion. I wonder what that's about. I wonder if I might have one or maybe two or three insights that might support me in my role as maybe a parent, a community member, a member of the Parent Carer Forum, or maybe as a head of the service. So just want to take time just to say, let's just acknowledge we're busy. Let's take a moment to slow down and arrive and settle and bring our attention to being present in this moment. So my invitation to you is to think about and just notice that if you're sitting, how you're sitting, if you're able to place both feet flat on the floor, and maybe notice and put your attention on your sitting bone, and maybe just bring your awareness to your posture. Yeah, you might be tight in the shoulders, you might be hunched over. Just find a neutral, relaxed sitting position just to find and bring a bit of presence in this very moment. Okay. Next, I'm going to invite you to, you can close your eyes or keep them open, whatever works for you. Bring your attention to your breath. Okay. That's not an invitation to suddenly start changing how you're breathing. Just bring your attention to your breath. You might find it helpful to focus on your nostrils or on your lips and just be curious. Are there any sensations happening at the moment as you breathe in and you breathe out? Maybe take 3 or 4 breaths. And now what I'd like you to do is bring your attention to what your intentions are for this session. Yeah. So why have you chosen to be here today? So maybe it's about connecting with someone you've not seen for a while. Maybe it's about you're being curious and you're wanting to be really open and wondering if you might get any insights that might support you in the role that you're here today. I would love to see some people's intentions in the chat. So if you'd be willing to, maybe you could just type, yeah, my intentions are, yeah. What are your intentions? Pop them in the chat for me and that'd be really helpful. So I'm not going to name you and I won't kind of name you and shout your intentions out. I'm just curious. I'm wondering why people are here today. And for the purpose of the recording and being clear and providing clarity, so the recording doesn't capture what's being said in the chat, okay? So that in a sense is confidential amongst the people who are here in this space. Yeah, great. Okay, so somebody's attention is about finding what this is all about. Yeah, maybe get some tips. People are maybe thinking about, might this support us around conflict? Yeah, maybe about supporting or top tips about communication. Yeah. Yeah. Someone's thinking about how to create a safe space so we can have good conversations and talk to each other. Yeah, absolutely. Great. So someone else is maybe thinking, thinking about how they can transfer the communication that they do really, really well at work into their home context, maybe. Yeah, brilliant. Great. Loads of lovely intentions. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to hold on to them and maybe revisit them at the end, okay? Because there's so many people on the call, I can't keep up with them all, and I'm really enjoying them, see all of them pop up. Absolutely. So yeah, how do we challenge and support people and be sensitive and kind of hold space with dignity? I kind of saw that as it flushed through and went through. So absolutely, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look. Great. Okay. So in the chat box, I would love it if you could share your name and how you're feeling today. Okay. So for example, if I chatted in, what you'd see for me is I'm Barry. I'm feeling motivated, a little bit nervous and quite excited. So that's where I am in this very moment. Or you might prefer to share how you feel in relation to these emojis rather than typing. So if I was to do that, I might put in Barry, number 1, and I'm a little bit number 8. So again, jump into the chat. How are you feeling in this very moment? Recognizing that our feelings change from moment to moment. And again, I won't call anyone out or name anyone for the purpose for the chat. Yeah, so maybe a little bit tired, a little bit stressed, but really clear, trying to focus and listen. Yeah, tired and stressed. We got some number 4s, which is, yeah. Curious, feeling grateful. Yeah. Yeah, feeling grateful and ready to know lots that you have for us. Wow, okay, now I'm feeling excited. Yeah, great. I'm interested. Optimistic. Yeah. So, this is interesting. I'm tired and I'm kind of wanting to be a number 5, which I'm guessing is maybe a little bit playful. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, great. Thanks for that, everyone. And again, sorry if I didn't read yours out. It wasn't on purpose. It was just what stood out in that moment. The other thing to say on the slide there, all feelings are welcome. All feelings are welcome. And that's really, really important. Really important. You know, it's about being authentic and about being real, isn't it? So I want us to put some parameters around this session together. So one thing I'd like to these are the assumptions that I'm bringing for the session and my intention to create a safe space with you. If any of these assumptions don't land or you'd really enjoy having something different or on top of to feel safe, and please do shout out when I finished in a moment. So confidentiality. So at some point in the session today, we're going to go into breakout rooms, and you will be invited to share some experiences. So only share what you feel comfortable to share. And what you share in your group is a gift between the 2 or 3 people in that space. Okay, so by confidentiality, I'm kind of expecting that no one else will talk about that little conversation outside of that breakout room. And if you come back and you're really struck and you had a powerful insight which you'd like to share, my invitation to you all is to share it from your experience. So don't share someone else's share and don't share someone else's story, okay? The way that you might support that what might support you around that is by having an invitation to think about I statements. So when you're sharing, really try and get the word I in. Yeah, so it's like we own it. So I think when I heard this, I think about this. And I'm really interested about finding out more about that. Yeah, so we're not storytelling, we're owning our experience. The other invitation is to listen from our hearts. So by that, I'm meaning that we're all assuming everyone's here because they've got positive intent. Yeah, so we're open to hearing other people's views, and we're curious and recognize that other people might think and experience things differently to ourselves. And we're not in a judgmental space, but we're in a curious space and we're interested. Okay, so from listening from our heart, not from a judgmental and kind of a judgmental space from the head. That's an invitation. The other thing I'd say is about choice and self-care. So that when we're thinking about compassion, this is really important. We're going to go into this in a little bit more detail. So you're in choice today. So I've extended a number of invitations. Would you be willing to turn your cameras on? Yeah, and it's not a demand, it's a request. Some people have and some people have chosen not to. So today I want you to be in choice, and please take good care of yourself. I often hear the phrase misery is optional. And I suppose that is kind of what we're talking about in terms of choice today. Okay. So please take good care of yourself. So it's an invitation to really decide, do I want to opt into this discussion with my full self, or do I not want to be part of it? Therefore, I'm happy to opt out. Okay. And ask for the support if you need any, either in the chat or by unmuting and kind of asking me. So the first thing I'm going to say about the choice is, in about 20 minutes, we're going to jump into some breakout rooms, okay? And we're going to start practicing some compassionate communication. And I'll describe what we're doing in a little bit more detail nearer the time. But when we get there, if you're thinking, you know what, I'm just really busy, I'm really stressed, I could just do with just 10 minutes of silence. I'd love to go into that breakout room, but I'm not sure how productive I'm going to be. So I'm going to take care of myself. I'm not going to go in. My invitation to you to support us would be to rename yourself. Okay. Now, I'm guessing at least one person might not know how to do that. So on my screen, I hover over my little rectangle where I am, and I get 3 dots like an ellipsis. Is it called bam, 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 right? So if I hover over that and left click it, I have a whole host of options. If I scroll down, eventually I get an option called rename. And then you can rename yourself. If you'd prefer not to go in a breakout room, you can put an equals sign before your name. So I've now done that on mine. So it says equals Barry Jones, he, him, his, okay? So if you prefer not to go in a breakout room, just pop an equal sign before your name, okay? And what that does is that supports the kind of just the ease for Helen when she's going to put us all into breakout rooms in a little while, okay? So that's one example of please be in choice throughout this session. The other thing I'd like to say is about making space and taking space. Okay. And by that, I mean, if usually you're someone who tends to take a lot of space, and I'm not saying this is good or bad or right or wrong, I'm just talking factually. If you're someone that usually takes quite a lot of space in workshops, my invitation to you would be to try another way today and maybe focus on trying to create some space for some other people. And if you're someone that tends not to talk a lot in these type of events, I invite you to be brave and take your space. So again, they're requests, not demands. So they're the things I'd like to kind of put in place today to maybe help us feel safe and engage together. Is there anything else anybody else would really like to kind of say?
Barry, I was just thinking, I'm not sure if we made it clear that, so we said at the beginning that this part is videoed and recorded, but the breakout rooms, just to reiterate, probably the breakout rooms won't be.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kate. That's really helpful. Yeah, exactly that. So when we go into breakout rooms, that's completely kind of, not recorded. Just so it's a gift between the 3 people that will be in that space. Okay, so let's jump on. So sometimes we kind of say and do things that create conflict. Yeah. Between either our inner conflict between ourselves, with our loved ones and people we work with. So today's about exploring some tools and thinking about self-empathy and how the awareness of our own experience supports us to connect with ourselves, and then in turn helps us connect with other people compassionately. Okay. Excuse me. So we're going to be exploring today and thinking about, well, what's the language and approaches that actually kind of lead to disconnection? So let's bring them to our awareness so we can maybe, with curiosity and a non-judgmental approach, just observe when we do those things and try and think, okay, so let's try and do those things a little bit less. Let's think about how we can become more fluent in understanding our own feelings and needs and practicing empathy through feelings and needs guesses. We're going to explore that conflict actually happens at a level of strategy, not at a level of feelings and needs. And I'm going to go into this in a bit more detail. So hopefully it will become clearer as we go through. And we're also going to look at a tool around self-empathy. Yeah. So how can we have absolute clarity what's going on for us, and how can we have empathy for ourselves so then we can communicate compassionately with ourselves and with other people. So we're going to share some tools around that. So, yeah, let's think about kind of language that disconnects. Yeah, so I want you to think about what the things people do or say that can lead to a sense of disconnection for you. Yeah. So what are the things that people do or say that can lead you to feeling just disconnected? Yeah. I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment so I can see you all. I would love to hear from maybe 2 or 3 people as well as see the chat. So for a personal perspective, what's some of the things people do or say that can lead to you feeling disconnected? Yeah, thank you. So if you're in chat, I'm not going to shout your name out, okay? So someone in the chat has said, yeah, roll their eyes. So body language, you know? Yeah, so maybe when someone's being judgmental. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to pause on the chat for a moment. I really would love to hear from 2 or 3 people just to get other people's voices in. Yeah, go for it, Emily. Yeah, thank you.
I was just going to say someone who's unreliable, who is sort of inconsistent with maybe support. I don't know. Just making me think about a lot of young people we support as well. And so reliability and consistency are key, I think.
Okay, so can I check? So is it about doing something that people said they were going to do?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So kind of keep into the word, doing what you promised or doing what you said. Thank you, Emily. I think I saw Rachel's hand jump up. Did I, Rachel, or did I miss? No? It's okay if I didn't.
If it was me, not intentionally, but I can say something though. I was trying to think about it and thinking people who you have a sort of fairly long history with, but coming to the table or coming to the discussion without any reference to that history. So the thing of sort of having to tell your story again. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
disengaging, disconnecting.
Okay, so kind of, yeah, so when you're having to tell your story over and over and people are maybe asking lots of questions and yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's hear one more. Catherine, I see you've got your hand up. Jump in.
I think for me, quite often it's when people say what they think you want to hear.
Okay, yeah.
It's quite a big one. Or something like they want to attend an activity or something like that, and they kind of go, oh well, I really would need to, but I'm really busy this week, so I'm not quite sure whether I can make it or not. And a lot of the times you think, if you only told me you just didn't want to do it, then it would make things a lot easier and a lot simpler. Okay,
so can I clarify what I've heard, and you can tell me if that's what you wanted me to hear? Would that be okay, Catherine? Mm-hmm. So yeah. I think I'm hearing something you didn't say is kind of, you love some honesty. Honesty is really important to you. Is that right?
Yeah, and maybe less politeness. Just tell me the truth. It cuts a lot of corners. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, so you love some integrity and honesty, and just kind of trust me. I'm Catherine, and if you don't want to do something, I'd really love it if you just told me rather than telling me you did and then not doing it later. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, great, brilliant. Let's just jump into a chat for a second. So we've got when people are being defensive, when people are talking negatively, kind of quite a lot. When people feel like they're being micromanaged, yeah, I can connect with that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just going to, someone's done it, thank you. When I'm being corrected, when I'm being corrected. When people listen to what I say but don't hear what I'm saying, I can connect with that one too. And people telling you how you feel. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So they're telling you, like they know somehow, like they've jumped inside your head and they understand all these complex feelings that you're experiencing. And no one can. So that's why when we're talking about empathy in a little while, we talk about guessing. Yeah. And you've probably already seen I've started to do that. Can I check with you? It sounds like honesty is really important. Is that right? So I'm not knowing, I'm guessing. Yeah. And when I guessed with Catherine could say, and this too, or not quite, it's this. Yeah, absolutely. So let's just jump back into the share. Thank you for jumping in on the microphone and sharing in the chat. So disconnecting language. So this works from kind of Bridget Belgrave, who's an MBC trainer. Can you see, I'm wondering if I'm sharing the right screen. Can you see one screen? Can you see this one with my mouse is on? Yeah, thank you. It's just for some reason I've lost a green share around it. So yeah, Bridget Belgrave talks about disconnecting language. And when we focus our attention on these following ingredients, it often leads us to kind of disconnect from the heart and disconnect from the humanity of ourselves and of other people speaking. Yeah, so kind of disconnecting from this idea of it's not serving life. Yeah, and this is often when we're thinking about being moralistic. So something's good, something's bad, something's right, something's wrong. I've got to win, you've got to lose. My opinion's better than yours, therefore somehow I'm better than you. Yeah, that kind of moralistic perspective. And we're actually often brought up in society and culturally on this basis. The other one, someone said in the chat, when we impose our judgments, yeah, thinking that I should be right. You should do what I think is right. Yeah. Another one is when we label people. Yeah. Well, you know why that is? Because they're all parent carers, right? Or you know that why that is because they're that SEN team, or that's that their school. They're all like that. Yeah. We kind of disconnect from the humanity of individuals when we lump people together. And I absolutely know I'm talking to people. I'm telling myself, the story I'm telling myself is that lots of you will connect with that. When we blame people, yeah. So when we start thinking about who's at fault, we're wanting to seek blame on one particular person or group. So if you and sometimes someone's done something that hasn't met your needs or the needs of people you love, but absolutely. And other times, if you start thinking about when you've had blame implied or put upon you, does that lead you to feel like you can have a really compassionate conversation? Or might you feel like your back's against the wall and you need to come out fighting? Yeah. And then the other one's no choice, thinking and talking as if we don't have a choice. Yeah, I have to do this. Yeah, I can't do something. Yeah, Barry's told me I've got to go in the breakout room. He's given me instructions, therefore I've got to do it, even though I don't really want to do it. So when we act from a no choice perspective, we can often be resentful. Yeah, we can often be resentful. And then when we make demands, this is a big one as a parent. I can connect with this historically in my earlier parenting journey. You're asking somebody to do something with like a hidden threat or hidden punishment behind it. So I'm not really asking, I'm demanding. Yeah. And there's a sense of coercion. So there's some of the things that we can do some of the times that might not serve connection and connecting with compassion. So my invitation to you all with kindness is not to judge yourself for doing those things because we're human, but maybe spot yourself with some kindness and just notice that you're doing it. Yeah, just notice, oh, I'm doing that thing. I'm seeking blame. Yeah, or I'm being coercive. Yeah, and then just be curious and think as we go through the session, are some of the tools I'm offering you, might they be an alternative path to take? Okay. Okay. So what would you call these? I'd love it if maybe someone could unmute and shout out, maybe one or two people, or someone could read out the chat. What would you call these up on screen?
Feelings.
Whoever that was, 10 points. Yeah, whatever 10 points adds up to, I don't know. Bullseye. Yeah, exactly. I would call them feelings too. And what about these? Same invitation, someone to shout out. All guesses are welcome.
A need, values.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Yeah, needs or values. I kind of would use the word needs, and some people connect with values and whatever. Yeah, absolutely. And then going back to feelings, I wonder if you've noticed a pattern on the top half and the bottom half. So rather than saying we have good feelings and bad feelings, yeah, because that's that judgment and kind of moralistic approach, I tend to would suggest we have feelings that indicate our needs are being met. Yeah. So, and we have feelings that might indicate our needs aren't being met. And this is why feelings are really important. They're really powerful messengers to us that something that really matters to us dearly is either being met or unmet. Yeah. So, for example, I might be being really excited and overjoyed and really optimistic because my need for connection and friendship is being met. Yeah. I might be like just really sad and frustrated and enraged because my need to be seen and heard in a meeting isn't being met. Yeah. So feelings are important messages to us. That's why through compassionate communication, we focus on kind of what's going on for us. What am I feeling? And what might that indicate that I'm needing? Marshall Rosenberg talked about really trying to focus in on this idea of blame and moving away from this moralistic approach and this domination kind of culture, saying someone's got to be right, someone's got to be wrong, we've got to have winners, we've got to have losers. And actually what Marshall talked about was in any given moment, every human is only doing the best they can to meet a particular need or more. Yeah. And we only ever do stuff in service of our needs, and we all have needs. The problems arise when we implement strategies to meet our needs. Yeah. So when I do something that might support my need, so for example, I might be a young person in a classroom. I might have a need for safety and respect. Yeah. And I might be feeling that actually I'm not feeling safe or being respected by somebody or someone in a room. So a strategy to feel safe and respected might be to communicate in a way that challenges the system. So I might swear, I might stand up, I might move something, I might walk out of a classroom. Yeah. So in doing that, I was trying to meet my need for safety and respect. Yeah. There could have been a number of things I could have done to achieve that need, but the strategy I chose is maybe where the conflict occurs, because it doesn't support the needs of, say, the other pupils or the teacher in the room. So it's the strategy where conflict can often happen. So this is a brief video by Marshall Rosenberg. It's only about 2.5 minutes long. I just want to play it. And while I'm doing this, actually, this is a good opportunity. I wonder if you'd be willing to guess what I'm feeling and what I'm needing in this moment. Has my PowerPoint stopped working, right? You're not telling me, you're guessing. So if you want to, you could guess in the chat, or you could just guess, I wonder if Barry's feeling like worried and needing some support. Or I wonder if he's feeling like, yeah, totally fine. It's okay. This thing happened. Yeah, maybe just have a bit of a practice. That buys me a few minutes to see if I can get it working. I'm really curious. I can see the chat going ping, 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 ping over here, and I want to read it, but I'm not going to just yet. Let's have a look. Some guesses. Feeling frustrated, maybe needing some reassurance, bit frustrated, bit tense. Yeah, feeling frustrated. A little anxious, maybe. Calm. Yeah, maybe feeling a bit calm. Yeah, great. And we don't know, right? Unless we ask someone. So in this moment, I'm feeling pretty calm and actually quite happy. I'm glad that happened, because it give you an opportunity to guess some feelings and needs. So let's watch this. I'm going to watch it for about 2.5 minutes.
Well, I was in a refugee camp in Palestinian Authority, and what all the crowd had to do was hear from my interpreter that I was an American. And a gentleman jumps up and screams at me, murderer, and another one jumps up, assassin, and another one calls child killer. Within an hour, the guy that called me a murderer invites me to a Ramadan dinner at his house. I didn't hear what he thought of me. I connected to what he was feeling, what he was needing. As I walked into that refugee camp, there were hundreds of tear gas grenades all over the lawn, shot in the night before when they had a riot there. And on the side of each of the grenades was written, "Made in USA." So when this guy calls me murderer, hearing that I'm an American, I tried to hear, what is the guy feeling? And I said, sir, are you furious? And then I tried to hear his needs. Are you needing a different kind of support from my country than you're getting? And he looks at me in a kind of a stunned way. Apparently that's not the way people respond to him usually when he screams at them. He said, you're damn right. We don't have sewage. We don't have housing. Why are you sending these weapons? So I said, well, then that makes it clear why you'd be so aggravated. If you don't have these basics and you get these weapons sent over here, I can see that your needs are for some other kind of support. He said, do you know what it's like to live under these conditions for all these years? I said, so you'd like me to understand just how desperate it can be even for one day, let alone for many years. So I heard what was alive in the guy. Not what he thought I was, a murderer. I didn't say I ain't killed anybody. I tried to hear what was going on in him. And when he trusted that I sincerely cared what he was feeling, what he was needing, he could start to hear me then when I said, look, I'm frustrated right now because I came a long way to be here. I want to offer something. And I'm worried now that because you got me labeled as an American, you ain't going to listen to me. He said, what do you want to say to us? So he could hear me then. And we have a school there now, one of the schools that we call a nonviolent communication school in that refugee camp. And whenever I go to that region, I'm well received hospitably in that refugee camp.
So yeah, there's Marshall talking about kind of feelings and needs. So, you know, we've been kind of brought up in a culture, I think, invitation to use I statements. So I'm practicing this too. I've been brought up in a culture of domination, whether that's through pop music, whether that's through the arts, whether it's through the media, whether it's through how I've been brought up as a child, whether it's about how my friends communicate with me. Yeah, that people are right, people are wrong. Yeah, we should be guilty, we should experience shame, we should experience blame, and all of these things. And what Marshall's suggesting is actually that there's another way, a life-serving way that can focus on feelings and needs and connecting with each other at the level of humanity. Yeah. And by connecting with each other on a level of humanity, we can really appreciate what it is that someone's really needing right now. Yeah. So I'll give you a quick example. In the past, I used to be working the senior leadership team of a large local authority and in a service called Complex Needs Service. And I used to often have to do level 3 complaints. And I'd often meet with people and there'd be these enemy images in place. You know, that local authority, they don't understand. It's that parent carer, they're problematic, you know, and it's all of that. And when I'd work with people and try and get people to recognize what they're needing, yeah, so that we get those people from the local authority recognizing that we've got a parent who wants the best for their child. They want to be heard. They want to experience respect. They want to be listened to. They want to feel trusted and safe. And then when the parent recognized that actually that head of service who the complaint's against, you know, is wanting some kind of recognition and appreciation that they're trying the best, or they're open and they're honest and they're really trying to listen to the complaint to learn from it. Yeah. When there's that connection at the needs level, the strategy to meet those needs often comes up and arises. The conflict often happens when we jump straight into the strategy. Well, what you need to do is this. Let's place the young person in this school. Let's put that person over there. Let's do this, this, and this. When we connect at the level of needs, the strategies often arise. Yeah. The strategies often arise. Okay, so let's do some practicing around guessing feelings and needs. And maybe before I do, just giving a moment. Sorry, I'm aware that I can often get so excited with the content that I go bang, 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 bang. I just wanted to give 3 or 4 seconds just for that just to land with people. So, I'm having all sorts of loveliness and problems with my screen sharing capacity here at the moment. So let's keep trying.
If we can help with anything.
Yeah, thank you. There we go. Okay, so I've got consent to share this. So can you see someone? This is my daughter, Rose. Can you see a picture? Yeah, thanks, Kate. So I've got Rose's consent to see to share this picture. We had to scroll through a few before she found one she was going to let me share. So this isn't a made up example of a conversation. This is almost like a word for word recount that happened. So Rose loves playing rugby. She was playing with her teammates. Before last half term, they decided they're going to go away camping, and I got in the car. And I said, "Oh, you played great. Did you enjoy that?" And she's really excited. And she said, "Yeah. And not only that, Dad, me and my mates, like half of the rugby team and some lads, we're going to go camping at half term. That's all right, isn't it?" And I said, hang on a minute. What do you mean you're going camping? There's been a pandemic. Everyone's going to try and go camping. And you're a group of teenagers. I don't think you're going to get a campsite anywhere. And all of a sudden, I started noticing that I was straight to strategy. Right. And I wasn't connecting at a needs level. So I wonder if you'd be willing to practice that with me now. So I'm hoping if I do that, you can still see that screen. So I'd love it if a few people would be willing to guess. When I said, "Well, I don't think so. I don't think you're going to go away camping with your mates." That ain't happening. What do you think Rose's feelings might have been? And we're guessing. So it would be really helpful if a few people shouted them out. I missed that one. Can you say it again for me, please?
Disappointment.
Yeah, disappointment.
Disappointment. Oh, okay, great.
Shock. Surprise.
Great. Oh, look at this. Shock, surprise. Yeah. Anger. You're so good at this. There's no way I'm going to keep up with you. Let's have a look. So, disappointment, shock, surprise. I will sort this out in a minute. Yeah. Anger. Yeah. Great. Any other ones? Any
Shock,
other?
surprise.
Yeah, shock, surprise.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Disheartened.
Could you say that one again for me?
Disheartened.
Disheartened. Yeah, grand. I was going to say don't worry about spelling, but disheartened.
Frustrated.
Frustrated, upset. Yeah.
Aggressive.
One more. So go again.
Aggressive.
I didn't catch that. Aggressive, did you say?
Yes.
Feeling aggressive. Okay. So maybe that's kind of like maybe that's like anger, feeling angry. So I would say aggression is a strategy maybe to meet your need for, for letting some anger out maybe. Yeah. Okay. So, and I'm wondering, let's do, try and be too clever here. And what do you think, Dad? That's me. What do you think Dad might have been feeling?
Worried.
Yeah, great. I'm loving the care and consideration you're all showing for me, not shouting out too many while I catch up with you. Worried? Yeah, what else?
Protective.
Protective, yeah. Protective, yeah.
Out of your control. So I don't know how you'd describe that.
So, so panic. There you go. Yeah. So a feeling of being out of control might be panic. Is that panic or a picnic? Anyway, it's close enough for me.
Anxious.
Anxious. Yeah. That's not panic, is it? Though? There you go.
Afraid.
Scared.
I missed that one.
Afraid.
Afraid. Yeah.
Yeah, afraid.
Scared.
Afraid.
Powerless.
Scared. Powerless.
Proud.
Yeah, powerless. Oh, who said that one? But I like the powerless. Yeah, that was like I'm going to totally slip the. So I might feel proud. I might feel proud because this my young teenage daughter said, "Hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this." Yeah, maybe. Great. Okay. And, one more. One more. Sorry.
Restless.
I might feel like restless. Yeah. Great. Okay. Now I'm wondering, what needs do you think Rose might have?
To be heard.
Yeah, so she might, yeah, absolutely. So to be heard, yeah, great. What other needs might she have?
Be independent.
Yeah, great. She might have a need for independence, a need to be heard. Keep them coming.
Be acknowledged.
Acknowledged. Yeah, I heard be with friends, so maybe a need for connection or a need for companionship. Yeah.
A need for reassurance.
A need for reassurance, a need for a voice to be heard. Yeah, great. Maybe one more. Acceptance. So look, I mean, clearly you've got this. Yeah, this is some great examples. So I'm wondering if these kind of feelings are indicating all those things: a need to be heard, a need for companionship, a need for friendship, a need to be listened to. Dad, don't just say no, just listen. A need for conversation. Maybe, yeah, all of those lovely needs. And we don't know unless we ask Rose. And Rose is at school, so we can't ask her. So yeah, absolutely. So what do you think Dad needs?
To breathe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A need for absolutely a need to breathe. Yeah, a need to breathe.
To be understood.
A need to be understood. Yeah, I can say that was definitely a need. Yeah, understood for my intentions. Yeah. So my other needs might have been, what might have my needs been?
More information.
Yeah. Good. Need for information. Yeah, great.
Reassurance.
Reassurance. Yeah, lovely.
To have control.
Okay, a need for control. It could be, and because I am Dad, I can respond back and say it could be thank you. But for me, it was more about a need for safety. So my main concern was a needed for safety. I wanted to know that my daughter was going to be safe. So I didn't have a need to be in control to say, this is what you're doing, no arguments about it, I'm making a decision. I really wanted to know that she was safe. That was my main concern. So after I stopped myself, So I'm just going to come off that. After I stopped myself from going into telling her what she can and can't do, I then started checking with her. So yeah, Rose, are you kind of like, yeah, are you feeling a bit disheartened because you're just so excited and to go camping and all of a sudden you can picking up, I've got some reservations. Are you feeling? And she's like, yeah, I am. I'm gutted. I'm saying you're going to say no. And I said, well, would you be open? Would you be willing to have a chat about it? Yeah, of course I would be. Yeah, I'd be willing to have a chat. Okay, so, and I really unpicked it. Are you really wanting some kind of independence? And so you can have some fun with your mates. It's been hard during lockdown. You just want to spend some time with your mates camping. Yeah, that's it, Dad. So what I was doing, I was guessing empathy. So this is my understanding is empathy. I was being empathetic with her. I was just asking her and guessing, are you feeling X because you need Y? Is that right? And asking that question, when it was clear I was coming from a place of genuine kind of, place of compassion and willingness to hear, every time she said, no, it's not that, it's more this. Oh, so it's that. Yeah. And it demonstrated I was really being open and listening to her. When I felt she'd had kind of enough empathy to hear me, I then said, yeah, well, I've got quite a few feelings going on too. Would you be open to hearing what's going on for me? And she said, yeah, of course. Had she said no, I would have gone back into empathy with her. Yeah. Okay, Dad, I'm open. And I said, well, I'm feeling torn. I would love it for you to go and have some time with your mates and just relax and chill out after the really difficult last 18 months. And I'm also feeling a little bit scared and frightened that you're going to kind of just go off and go wild camping. I won't know where you are and something might go wrong. And I'd be really, really worried. Yeah. So we had a conversation about it. Now, one thing I could have done is I could have just collapsed. I could have said, your needs, in my head, I could have said, right, Rose's needs matter more than mine. Right. So I could have submitted or surrendered my own needs and said, you know what, you go for it, Rose. But what would have likely have happened is I would have been really worried, and I'd have been chewing myself to bits every moment she was away. So that wouldn't met my need for safety. Yeah, it might have met her need for independence, autonomy, and friendship, but I would have surrendered my own needs. So in NVC and communicating with compassion, we don't talk about compromise, because compromise is where both parties have to give a little bit of something up. And that really, there's no winner then. We talk about both like a win-win solution. So when we talk about what our own needs are, we can then see if there's a strategy that will meet both of those needs. So I then said to Rose, I've got an idea. Would you be willing to hear it? Yeah. And I said to her, well, okay, how about, would you be willing to have the camp at the bottom of the garden? Now we're really lucky. We've got a thin and a really long garden. It's about 90 meters long, and it's got a little orchard at the bottom. So she'd be away from the house. We couldn't see her, what she was doing. We'd probably hear them, but she'd have a bit of autonomy. Would you be willing to have the camp over at the bottom of the house? And you can light a fire and do whatever you want down there. How does that sound? And she said, yeah, I think that sounds all right. And then she said to me, can we have boys and girls? And I said, yeah, I'm open to that. Absolutely. I trust you, and we had a conversation and we collectively come together to an agreed strategy. And we started at feelings and needs. Yeah. So I sought to empathize with her first. That's what I did. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to give you space to have a bit of a practice yourself. And I'm going to jump into, here we go. I'm saying that. I think I'm still sharing my screen, aren't I? Yeah. Okay. So these are the instructions. So this is the heads up. Okay. If you're in choice, if you're thinking, I don't really want to do this in a breakout room, there's no judgment from me. You're welcome to be in choice to whatever you want to do. So this is the moment. If you don't want to, please rename yourself with an equal sign. Hover over your picture, the 3 dots, left click it, scroll down, rename, pop an equals before your name. Okay. Excuse me. So whilst people who choose to do that are doing that, let me run through. So building our vocabulary of feelings and needs, guesses, is practicing, right? So let's create a safe space to practice. So I want you all to think about, this is an invitation, think about something you're struggling with a little. And when I say struggling with a little, I'm on about like 3 or 4 out of 10 on the spicy scale. All right. So like the spicy scale, like 0 is no spice behind it at all. There's no struggle. It shouldn't even be on the list, to 10, which is the biggest life struggle you've ever experienced. Because we're learning together, my invitation is to pick something. It's about a 3 or 4. Yeah. because if you go too difficult, you're unlikely to kind of be in the learning zone. All right. So something you're struggling with a little bit at the minute. Okay. And then in groups of kind of 3 in the breakout rooms, you're going to go into, and I'm going to invite you, it's an invitation to go in the order of who's got the longest hair to shortest hair. All right. You can do any order you want to, but I've done that so you don't get into a vortex of politeness and take 10 minutes to decide who's going to go first. One person's going to share something they're struggling with, 1 or 2 sentences max. Yeah, 1 or 2 sentences max. So I might say, for argument's sake, you know what, I'm getting increasingly more wound up with my neighbor who's insisting in parking over my drive. And that could be it. That's my share. All right. Don't get lost in the story. Your 2 buddies in the room are going to take it in turns to guess. So they might say, Barry, you're feeling really frustrated and you need some understanding. Right. And I'll say, thank you. I wouldn't tell them if it's landed with me or not. I just say, thank you. And then the other buddy might say, yeah, you just perplexed, Barry. And yeah, you'd like to have a conversation. Thank you. And you keep going. Okay. Maybe go for about 10 guesses each, or 2 minutes, or until you've run out of steam, whichever happens first. Okay. So that whole process takes 2 minutes. And then the sharer then gets to say for about a minute, any of those guesses land with them. So yeah, actually, I'm a bit frustrated about it. I am a bit annoyed, or I'm feeling really, actually, I'm feeling kind of happy and hopeful now. And these are my needs about it. Okay. And then collectively take a breath and then swap. The next person goes, and then do the same process. Take a breath, and then the next person goes. So you all get the opportunity to do the same thing. Okay. A lot of information there. Any questions or points of clarity? Okay. So in which,
has it got to be to do with a person, or can it be something else?
Yeah, something. No, it can be about anything. It could be about anything. So it could be like it could be something like, I'm really struggling to manage my inbox and do the day job. It could be that. It could be that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And what I'm going to do, just while Helen's working the magic in the back office, I'm very quickly going to go back to the feelings and needs. Okay. Let's go. And then if you might want to take a picture of them on your phone, so then you can just kind of look at them while you're guessing. Okay. He says, come on, let's get there. Nearly there. Here we go. So there's some feelings. So if you want to, you might want to just take a screenshot or take a quick picture with your camera if you want to. I'll leave that up there for a few seconds. Okay. Great. And I'll give you 3, 2, 1. And then there's some needs. So I'll leave them up there. So you might want to take a picture of that. In fact, let me go on and you can see the word needs up there. I'll leave that up for another 5 seconds or so. You might not need that. You might have the vocabulary already. That's fine. Okay. Well, welcome back, everyone. I've probably got time to hear from maybe 1 or 2 people to just give me a little flavor of any reflections from that exercise. What was that like for you? I'm kind of looking for a very quick feedback, maybe 30 seconds each, something like that. Would anybody enjoy sharing? Hi there, Catherine, jump in.
Yeah, we didn't actually get too long. We didn't get a chance to go around with everyone. But I think from my observation, from hearing somebody else, was the fact that when we were discussing kind of feelings and, kind of reactions, is that the feelings often evolve more feelings, and then you have feelings about those feelings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of saying, right, I feel guilty because I felt angry, or I felt disappointed with myself because I was angry in the situation, or, so it was kind of like a vicious circle of this reaction caused this reaction, or this emotion caused this emotion. And it kind of, developed quite, so it's not always as simple as, nobody's listening to my son, therefore I feel angry. Is that actually that it's much more deeper and more complex than that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, yeah, I would totally agree. And that was why the invitation was to try and something like a 3 or 4 out of 10. So we don't get, into something that's too spicy for us, just so we can do the learning. And the thing I'd say there, Catherine, is often, yeah, sort of like Marshall Rosenberg and the founder of nonviolent communication kind of talked about 2 or 3 different feelings. If we're experiencing them, they're actually often a secondary feeling. There's something often behind it, and that's kind of like blame, shame, guilt, and anger. So if we're experiencing those things, what's underneath the anger? Yeah. So thanks, Catherine. Ruth.
Oh, I just suddenly realised how much of a problem solver I am.
Ah,
And I try really hard not to be.
Okay, well,
I just go into problem solving mode. So bit of work to do, I think, on this one, Barry.
Ruth, I can't tell you how thankful I am that you shared that, because I'd say me too. Every problem solver or every fixer, whatever language you want to use on this call, I believe is coming from a place of kindness and compassion and wanting to help. And we know, don't we, often actually trying to offer advice, trying to fix doesn't support connection. Sometimes people want to be fixed. When I go to my doctor, I want my doctor to tell me what's wrong and to tell me what to do to be healthy. Yeah. But when we're trying to create that empathetic space, just witness those urges. I've got an urge to offer advice. I've got an urge to try and fix. Yeah. And just knowing that actually, okay, so I've got an urge. And what's this urge telling me? It's communicating I've got a need for support. Offering advice is a strategy to meet your need to support someone else. Whereas providing empathetic listening and providing that space is another strategy that might serve them better. So if you have got an urge to share advice with someone, you could say, I do this regularly. Hey, I've got a couple of ideas. Would you enjoy listening to them? And if they say no, thanks. Yeah, great, no worries. Yeah, so you could seek support first. Okay, great. I'm really mindful of time. I'd love it if we had so much more time, and we haven't. So I'm gonna need to jump into the next kind of set of information. So have you got a young person holding a map in front of you on your screen? Yeah, great. So as I mentioned earlier, this work is inspired by and based on the work of kind of Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of nonviolent communication. And there's kind of a map of nonviolent. In fact, let me go back, because I think there might be a shout out. No, there's not. It's coming up. There's a map of kind of nonviolent communication, and it's an invitation to us to think about our intention is on connection. We're wanting to connect with ourselves deeply and connect with other people. So we're not kind of intending on blaming, judging, criticizing, advising. Yeah, we're not kind of getting into the right and wrong game. We're just intending to kind of connect with someone. And therefore, our attention is on this very moment. We're not thinking about what we're going to have for tea. We're not thinking about, oh, that reminds me of a story when I experienced that too. We're being very present. And Marshall talks about, this is about the flow of life. And he talks about kind of 4 key steps. And I know this is a lot of information, and we're just scratching the surface. So if this interests you, I've got some resources at the end that you can follow for some more information. So it talks about observations, feelings, needs, and requests. And we've dabbled a little bit with feelings and needs. And I want to have a quick look at kind of observations. So just unmute, and if more than one person talks at a time, that's fine. We'll see where we get to. What do you observe? What do you observe?
She's happy. She's putting her hand out and happy.
Thank you. So you observe that she's happy and she's putting her hand out. Thank you. What else do you observe?
Alert.
So thank you. You observe that she's alert. Say again, sorry, someone else?
Big smile.
A big smile. Thank you. Okay. And what do you observe now?
Angry.
So you observe anger. Thank you. And something.
Startled.
Yeah. Startled, shocked. Thank you. Anything else?
Somebody may be shouting.
Maybe shouting. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So kind of why is this important? Why is observation so important? Well, in NVC and nonviolent communication, it's super important because, and I'll dig into it in a bit more detail now. So observation is something we experience with our senses, right? We might see, we might hear, we might smell, or we might taste or touch. All right. Versus an evaluation. And an evaluation is a conclusion that we draw based on our observation. Yeah. So they're often kind of based on the assumption that something's good, something's bad, something's normal, something's abnormal. So why is this important? Well, if you think about it, if we can separate our observations out from our interpretations, we can reduce the risk that others will hear us as being judgmental. Because if you think about it, if you've ever felt judged or criticized, I can own this, I often disconnect. Like, that's not the best. If I think someone's blaming me, correcting me, kind of like that leads to disconnection. I might move into the fight or flight or freeze kind of mode of communication. So I'm wondering, earlier people said happy, surprise, shock, angry, celebratory, and all those kind of things. Yeah. So if you were to say what you observe now, what do you observe now? A pure observation.
Brown hair.
Yeah, there you go.
Open smiling mouth.
Yeah, open mouth. Yeah, teeth. Exactly. Yeah, so important distinguishing, because one person could say, "Hey, you look so angry there," and another person could say, "Oh, you look so thrilled." Right? Yeah, and actually saying to someone, "You look so angry," that could be disconnected. You might ask them, "Hey, are you kind of like, are you shocked?" And yeah, but so those evaluations of people are really important to separate them out from observation, and to bring it back to the kind of fundamental level. When we think of empathy, think about empathy. We're kind of guessing and sensing people's feelings and needs. Right? That's the level we're working at. So a big shout out really to Bridget Belgrave and Gina Laurie, who created something called the nonviolent communication dance floors. All right. And you'll have access to all these links at the end. So just want to shout out to them. This is their work, not mine. In fact, all of this work is other people's. I'm feeling very privileged to be able to share it with you. So in this dance floor, it's kind of called the self-empathy dance floor. And it's a dance because it's a fluid process. Yeah, we can jump from one stage to another to jump back again. And our intention is on connection. So our intention is to get deeply connected with ourselves and try to hold ourselves kindly and compassionately and think, what's going on for me? As Marshall would say, said in the film, what's alive for me? So the first thing we might do is go, well, if we're feeling kind of like triggered or something, we're struggling with something, we might start with, like, okay, so what are we observing? And observations are important because they help us understand specifically the thing that we're reacting to. Yeah, why am I excited and happy and hopeful? Or why am I angry, frustrated, and a bit narcs? Yeah, so it helps us understand. It can also help to establish common ground if we're having a conversation between more than one person, because it creates space for the other person to provide clarity and accuracy. Yeah, to correct us. We have different memories of that event. So we can get clear on what we're observing. Oh, I saw you. I thought you were looking angry. No, I was happy. I was celebrating. Someone's just scored a goal. Yeah, for example. So some top tips about observations. Be brief in one sentence. Yeah, don't get lost in the story. So if we're observing something, just be really clear. Hey, the other day when you sent me that email and you signed it with a wink and a kiss, for argument's sake, yeah? Or you used 5 exclamation marks in the end, right? So be really kind of brief. Say what is happening rather than what's happening, and own it with your I statements. So when I heard you say X, Y, and Z, or when I see you rolling your eyes, yeah? So be really, really clear. And be objective rather than subjective, all right? Very much like if you had a video camera and it recorded it. Yeah, you could, so you're observing exactly what happened. So the first thing we would do is we'd think about what we're observing. Once we've got that down, we then connect with what are we feeling about that now. So we don't time travel back to the thing that triggered us. We connect with what's alive in us now. So what are our feelings? Some top tips around that is we often use a feeling when we're actually describing a thought. This is a pattern I've observed regularly in myself and others. I'm feeling that I'm ready for a break. That's not a feeling, that's a thought. A feeling might be tired, that might indicate I need a break or would welcome a break or a rest. Yeah, okay. And sometimes we disguise thoughts when we're analyzing or judging other people. Like, I feel like you never listen to me. Yeah, I feel as though you shouldn't do that. Their thoughts, their analysis. Yeah, so just be careful of those. And sometimes we unknowingly disguise our interpretation of other people's behavior as feelings. I feel abandoned. Yeah, So somebody else's behavior we might interpret that as like kind of like abandoned. They're abandoning us. But what are we feeling about that? Are we feeling angry? Yeah. Are we feeling satisfied? Yeah. Are we feeling upset? Are we feeling confused? Are we feeling terrified? So what's the feeling behind the sense of being abandoned? Because that's an interpretation. Or I feel manipulated. So that's a judgment. I feel manipulated. To me, I hear an implication that you, the other person, are manipulating me. Yeah. So how do I feel? Yeah. I might feel kind of like just complexed. I might feel kind of just really kind of confused. Yeah. Uncertain of what's happening. So once we've connected with our feelings, then we can really kind of connect with our needs. So what are those beautiful feelings indicating and suggesting our needs might be? And the key to this is identifying, expressing, and connecting with our needs. It's to focus on words that describe our shared human experiences rather than a strategy to meet those needs. So for example, I really need you to give me a hug right now, right? That's a strategy. And it might be a strategy of a hug might be a way I'd like to experience connection and warmth and love with you. Yeah. Okay. So top tips about this is this thing called Plato. All right. So when we talk about, if we're talking about people, location, action, a particular time or an object, we're expressing a strategy. Yeah. So for example, I really need a hug. Yeah, that's kind of like an action. That's a strategy. It's not a need. My need might be for connection or reassurance or for love. Yeah. Okay. So then we kind of really connect with our needs. And then we can think about, well, what requests might we make? And these are requests as opposed to demands. And the only way we know if we're making a request is if we're willing to hear a no. Because if we're not willing to hear a no, we're making a demand. So it's a lot about willingness. Yeah. Would you be willing to share your experience in the breakout room? I'd love to hear from a few people. Yeah. Might I be willing to finish work tonight at 5 o'clock? Yeah. That's a request of myself. Okay. So we can make, everyone has a need for autonomy and to be free of choice and whether we do something or not do something. Because remember, when we behave and act in a no choice way, telling ourselves we must, we should, we have to, that can often lead to resentment. I had no choice. I had to go to that meeting. I had to finish work tonight at 9 o'clock. Yeah. So when we think about actually, are we willing to, am I willing to finish work tonight at 9 o'clock? Yeah. Am I willing to tell my boss no? Yeah. Am I willing to say, I'm not coming to the next meeting because I've got a real need for kind of rest. I need to rest. I'm very tired. Yeah. And when we contribute willingly, when we give this gift like of this request, yeah, then really it's about joy. We can really give from the heart. Yeah. But when we don't give from the heart, we can build up resentful. Yeah. Because we feel we don't have a choice. And if we think about it, if someone does something out of duty or kind of a sacrifice or fear or guilt, or even if they feel obliged to do it for us, this can often lead to a compromise in the quality of connection between us. Yeah. So if someone's feeling they've just got no choice, we're making a request for them, but they really hear a demand. Yeah, this can have an impact on the quality of the relationship between us. Yeah. So requests, we can do 4 things. We can make a request of ourselves. Yeah. Am I willing to not work until 9 o'clock tonight? I might make a request of the other person that I've experienced this thing that I've got some triggers about. Yeah. Yeah. Would you be willing to have a conversation on what's going on for me right now? Yeah, I might make a request of someone else. So I might say to someone on my parent carer forum, hey, something's been I'm really struggling to like connect really meaningfully with the head of service. Would you be willing to have a cup of tea and have a chat with me? Yeah, so you might make a request of someone else, or you might make a request to act right now. Okay. And it's a dance. You might choose one of those things. So I totally recognize this is so much information. All right. I do recognize a lot of information. I'm going to give you some resources at the end. And I'm also wondering if it'd be helpful to kind of see this in practice. And this is going to be a really quick dance. So we're going to kind of fly through it, just so bring it off the page. And I'm wondering, Cindy, if you'd be, if you're still up for volunteering. How are you feeling?
Yes.
Are you up for this?
Yes, that's fine, Barry.
And just to clarify, Cindy and I have had a chat about this before, right? So I've not just picked on Cindy, all right? And Cindy's in choice. So Cindy could say, actually, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And then I just have to react and see what happens. So would you be willing to kind of share your thing that you're struggling with, or there's something that's triggered you on the kind of 3 out of 4 spicy scale in a sentence or two?
Well, we talked about the trigger being when my daughter's health deteriorates either quickly or over a period of time. That tends to be a trigger for me.
Okay, great. So the observation is when my daughter's health deteriorates over a quick period of time, that's kind of there. That's difficult for me. Okay, great. So that's a clear observation. So now we can kind of jump into our like judging and blaming. So sometimes it can help to think about the shoulds or musts. So have you got any stories you're telling yourself, like I must do this, or I shouldn't do that, or someone else should do this, or someone else should do that? Have you got any judging and blaming going on?
Yeah, certainly blaming myself, thinking I don't know what I should be doing. I should be doing more. I would call it carer's guilt.
Yeah.
For sure. Or blaming professionals. They're not giving me enough support. I don't have a plan in place.
Yeah.
So blaming professionals
around. Yeah, absolutely. So that sense of I'm not doing enough, the professional should be helping more. We should have a better plan. Yeah, all of those shoulds and all those judgments. And judgments and blame are really important because they also indicate what really matters to us most. So thinking about kind of feelings in the moment, how are you feeling about that now? What's alive in you now?
Feelings regarding when a trigger is hit, you mean?
So in this very moment, so in describing how that is for you, so, how are you feeling about that now in this moment?
Well, it brings on emotions of anger, frustration, but also anxiety and worry and fearfulness. Yeah, so kind of like anger, worry, kind of be a bit scared, bit fearful, and some anxiety. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm wondering, are you okay to move on, Cindy? So I'm torn. I would love to spend more time with you on this, and I'm also wanting to honor other people's time. Are you okay to move on? Yeah. And I'm happy at the end if it's helpful to talk in more detail about it. So normally, just to let you know, folks, we wouldn't move at this pace. Okay, that's really important. This is just to support learning. So then thinking about kind of like you're angry, maybe a bit of fearful and anxiety and frustrated. I'm wondering what kind of needs do you think are alive in you? What do you think those feelings are pointing at? What really matters to you? Probably to have some safety and stability around me, some order and structure. Peace of mind to kind of feel like I've been listened to or have support around me, so I feel a bit calmer to deal with things.
Wow, so much clarity. Yeah, so much clarity, some order, some structure around you, so that would really support ease and calmness. Absolutely. And some support, really clear. Absolutely. So can you see, folks, from some starting at that thing that triggered or you're worried about, thinking and welcoming all your judgments and blaming, because we're human, right? Welcoming them in because they're going to tell us something, connecting with how we feel, and then working out what do we need. And if we get to the point where we're at needs and we don't know, we're not ready, jump back again. All right. And if you start thinking about needs and then you start thinking those blinking social workers should be doing more, that's okay. We're back at judgment. That's no worries. Just acknowledge we're judging. Okay. Are we ready to come back to needs? Great. So I'm wondering if there's any kind of requests you might kind of have either make of yourself or other people about that.
I suppose with regards to family, to just support me through that. And to be that those people I can rely on, who will listen to you, who will help you as much as they can.
Okay,
and
great.
Obviously the same with professionals, really.
Yeah, so the thing about requests, this is to everyone, not just India. The thing about request is they've got to be really kind of doable, really clear, a lot of clarity around them. So I really sense, Cindy, you would like some support from your family to be there for you and some support from professionals. I'm wondering if there's something really doable and specific that you might want to make a request of.
Well, normally if my husband is present, I would request a hug, to be specific.
Great. Yeah.
Or just he has the ability to be quite calm, and so that makes me more calmer. It makes me more methodical then. Accessibility in regards to professionals, just to be accessible when you need them, is something would be, ideal.
Great. So in terms of like a smart, doable request around that, could you mind if I offer one just for the point of learning, not for fixing or advising? So I'm not advising you, I'm just giving an example to the people on the call. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
So one example might be, I'm going to make a request of my social worker, for argument's sake. I'm going to say, hey, you know what, when my daughter's health deteriorates, I feel a bit worried and anxious. Would you be willing to sit down and to revisit the care plan with me? Yeah, so that might be one request that's doable and physical. And could we do that, please, within the next week? That would really support me to feel a little bit more relaxed and calm. Would that be possible? Would you be willing to do that? So that might be a real clear, doable request. Yeah? Is that okay, Cindy?
Yeah.
Right. And then once we've kind of done that, what we then do at the self-empathy, once you've thought about that request, you then check in with yourself again and say, so how are you feeling in this moment?
So then I would feel probably more calmer, less anxious.
So maybe,
more reassured.
So a little bit calmer, a bit more clarity, maybe you've received some reassurance. Yeah, great. So that process of, thanks, Cindy, that was really, really helpful. And thank you for letting me gallop you through that process, the quickest I've ever done it. I hope it brought that process alive for people witnessing. So the process really is if you kind of, when you get back to the how do I feel that now, if you haven't noticed a shift, you haven't maybe accessed enough empathy for yourself, right? So you haven't noticed this shift. If I was anxious and worried and angry, if I'm not feeling something that's different, maybe I'm not heard myself enough. Maybe I need to go back and really get those judgments and blaming out. I really need to lean into the feelings a bit more. I need to really sit with and think about, what are my needs? I need to be heard. I need to be supported. What requests can I make? Now, how am I feeling? Has there been a shift? Have I connected with myself a little bit? And I've kind of, I really understand what's important to me. I'm going to do something that's doable about it. And I'm not lost in a space of judging and blaming and kind of, the issue around it. So thanks, Cindy. Yeah, thank you. And that's a thank you to you and to everyone. So I'm really conscious we've got 60 seconds, so I will honor your time. So I'm going to, one thing I invite you to think about actually is, what are you taking away from today? Okay, I'm going to invite you, when you leave the call, if you have a minute, just to think about that. What are you taking away from today? Is there any top tip you've heard? Is there anything you're going to try or practice? So what are you going to take away from today? And we are going to share the slides with you, and there's an abundance of resources. I could have shared 60 slides with different resources on, and I've just picked out a few. There's the Nonviolent Communication Centre in the UK. There's the global one. There's Marshall Rosenberg's book, and there's a YouTube channel with loads of sort of top tips on too. And I'll send them out to you all. And there's my information too.